pixels, buttons, a bit of fun. Then, somewhere along the way, the big platforms moved in. Last year, $200 billion flowed upwards, away from the people who actually play. This year, they take it back. Yom, where players play games straight from your PC, not a data center in Virginia. Meet Tyler Pemberton. Yes, this looks dramatic, but he's perfectly fine. Tyler's offline. His PC isn't. 47 players streaming from his GPU right now. Even AFK, Tyler's rig is pulling its weight. He's making money in his sleep. Maybe this is what happens when gamers finally take control of their own world. Turn your idle GPU into passive income. Yom.net. Eat, sleep, earn, repeat.
Good afternoon or evening, everybody. Let's get this a little bit closer so you can all hear me. How's everyone doing tonight? It has been one of those days where so much goes on. And I'm gonna do this here a little bit too. I'm not even in the right. I apologize. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back. We did a real burner of a show on Wednesday. If you didn't catch it, we're gonna do a lot of there's a lot of those stories that I think they're worth kind of going back to and talking a little bit deeper about them, because we are in a place right now where the gaming industry is making major changes. And we're, for us, it feels very fortunate because a lot of those changes point to the technology that we're building with Yom. So I want to spend some more time talking about that. I don't know. I think Gloria's been invited, and as has yours. I'm not sure who's going to be able to make it tonight because there are still some things going on in the background because we are ever evolving and ever growing. If you don't know me, my name is Jeff Allah. I am the COO at Yom. Yom is a decentralized cloud network. So if you're into gaming at all, you know already that cloud gaming is where people are all going, right? This is it's the fastest growing segment. It's got they're saying now that over half the people who game participate in some level of cloud gaming at some point or another, right? This is it's hugely beneficial to a gamer, right? I don't have to download and install a massive program on my already full hard drive. I don't have to go out and buy those very expensive gaming rigs in order to play, or even worse, the consoles now are jacking their price up to over $1,000 is what PlayStation 6 is looking like. So the gaming industry needs to have access to players. And kind of what cloud gaming does is it gets a little bit of both, right? First of all, it brings the cost down to those people who are already gaming, right? It brings the cost down so they can actually, continue to play. And then it opened up the market to everybody who couldn't have gotten in before because there was a hardware wall, a cost hardware wall in front of them. Now with cloud gaming, they can actually get in and start playing. So for the gaming industry, we really do feel like the cloud gaming solution is a great solution. The current versions of it are all centralized, right? Everything, the GeForce Now and Xbox Game Pass, they're all using massive data centers to stream the games out to the players, which can work if you're close by to a data center, but ultimately that's getting very expensive as well, as AI is starting to grab all those GPU cycles from those data centers and it's driving the costs up. So games are starting to get crowded out, and you're only going to see certain games able to stream on the centralized clouds. What we've built is a decentralized cloud. What this means is people who have a gaming rig at home and they have an old computer, and these are gaming rigs, they can be 2, 3, 4 years old gaming rigs. We allow them to put their rig on our network. We give them a device, or we send them a device that they purchase, and that puts their device on our network. And then when they're not using the gaming rig, it earns passive income for them because we've made a network, an edge network consisting of all these gaming rigs around the world. Now, what this also means for us, is that we are the fastest network out there, fastest edge network. Now, it right now it's geared towards games because games is the hardest problem to solve and the biggest markets to get into. Though AI is getting up there as well, but our network really is for any kind of edge compute. That'll be AI, it'll be robotics, it'll be all the other use cases for edge computing, which of course is just a big space and growing space. And ultimately for the world, this is just a benefit because now that means that the data centers, which are already facing massive backlash because of the environmental damage and the way that they jack up the price of water and electricity in local regions, they become less necessary. And instead, all that can happen on a distributed network that's orchestrated by our patented technology. And again, it ends up being much, much faster and a lot more cost efficient, a lot more scalable. If you've tuned into any of our podcasts in the past, we've talked about the idea that so people who are already, and you can go to Reddit and see this, people who are using GeForce Now, there's usually a very long queue to get onto their game on a Friday night when everyone wants to game. If you're waiting in line, you could be up to like, we saw some posts that people were 500 in line to get to a machine. It's just not scalable in that way because they don't want to put on a whole bunch more computers into that space, into that data center, because on a Tuesday those machines aren't being used. So they try to kind of split the difference or get to the middle, which means on a Friday night people are waiting in line. We don't have that problem. Our scaling is just bringing one more node operator onto the network. Gloria has joined us. So Gloria, let me bring you up and say hello. How are you, man?
Hi guys. How you doing?
Good. I just you came just in time. I just got done with the introduction, what we are for those people who are finding us for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't launched into the stories yet, but how's your day going? I was just saying how mine's just gotten busier and busier. It seems like.
Yeah, like crazy day. We're obviously like trying to ensure that like we have everything like just in place, especially like marketing wise and doing
Yeah.
I mean conversations. I mean we're just having conversations now about the community. So yeah, it's good.
And then we don't the big reveal. I think is we teased on Wednesday. I don't think that's ready for today, is it?
No. We can't do that today.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
okay.
So if you're tuning in for the big reveal, still tune in because we've got lots to talk about. But don't
Yep.
tune in just for the big reveal because that has to hold. I think next week. Does that sound like it's probably right?
Do you know the funny thing? I wanted to use a background of what we're supposed to use for the review, and then immediately I just used. I was like, no, I can't use this. I just changed it immediately. So maybe next week. I don't know. Let's see. Probably.
Okay. I do
Yeah.
have the ability. I don't know if I've ever shown this off, but I do have the ability to do something like this if I
Oh
wanted to. But
wow.
I don't think I'm going to do that today. So,
Cool.
all right.
Mhm.
So let's talk about. So I was telling everybody, on Wednesday we did we talked about a couple of stories. There were big stories that happened to the gaming industry this past week, and they're
Mhm.
worth. Wednesday nights we get some people from the West Coast of the U.S. can tune in, but really most of Europe is asleep by the time we get on board. You're awake for some reason, but that doesn't make sense to me either. But thank you for doing so.
Come on, we
But let's
gotta
go
do
over
it.
these stories for the people
Mhm.
in Europe who didn't hear our take on all the stuff. So the Xbox. Let me get this out of the way. The Xbox
Yeah.
issue. This is a big deal, right?
Yeah. It was a sad day. Sad day.
Yeah. So 3,000 people laid off. As a matter of fact, they announced one of the people who left had been there for 37 years. He was their backwards compatibility lead engineer. He also did work on their cloud system. So
Whoa.
these are some deep cuts that they're taking. And in the
Mhm.
article, I think I pointed out in the call on Wednesday, what she's saying is that oh, I don't think, can I highlight it here? I don't think I can. But that it's the most, this last sentence right here. And now the industry is facing the most severe hardware crisis in its history. That's no
Mhm.
joke. I mean, this is the head of Xbox's gaming saying that the hardware crisis that we're in right now is really having large knock-on effects to their business and to probably the gaming industry entirely. Take that
Yeah.
where
I
you will.
mean, Yeah, I mean, for those that did not join, I mean, it was a very sad day because, like, at the end of the day, well, I would say sad day for the gaming, for big guys, and maybe a good day for some people, but like obviously sad day for the people that lost their jobs, at the end of the day, but For people that did not join on Wednesday, the standard one of the things that stood out for me was basically the fact that this will kind of like spiral or bring the whole like hardware menace that is going on right now. The whole like companies saying that, hey, hardwares are too expensive. We can no longer like support like the unit economics is just not making sense, and this will, and also the other part where like they were the guy she was complaining about the quality of games, or like focusing on just like certain type of games that are doing well as Microsoft. The whole menace that is going on right now is good, if you look at it from a yom's perspective, extremely very good for us, and but not just Yum. And like I said on Wednesday, the other aspect is it is good for also indie developers, gaming developers that are like just little budget, and then they can like come up with just a very beautiful game. This is also a good time to kind of like push that product, because these guys they are literally saying, because let's not forget corporate, the corporate world would always do things to make that would increase the profit for shareholders at the end of the day, and make the company good and profitable. And sometimes it necessarily like would not be the best decision. Some of the decisions will be hard, and this is why you take advantage of that decision. Another thing I also said, which I'm going to repeat again, is that, or maybe they can just send us a message, reach out to us and we will solve your problems, like literally.
Yeah, I think so. What we touched on was the idea that when the with Microsoft pulling in their horns, and Bethesda was the other one, that they're going to go back to, because they're very large companies with very large budgets, which means they have large risk. They're
Mhm,
being hugely risk averse. They're going to stay with their tried and true, the formula that they've worked in the past. They're not going to go out on the edge, try a new game
mhm.
mechanic, try something different. Which, from in my mind, that's the biggest fear for me, is that the gaming industry will stagnate. Because if it stagnates without any kind of new innovations, the gamers aren't going to come to they're not going to come to start playing, right? They need to see
Mhm.
something different, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you're right, the
Yeah.
indie developers are where all that experimentation happens. The problem
Mhm.
with being an indie really is how do you get your game noticed and how do you get your game distributed? Which, as you're saying, is all good for us, because um, part of the big uh, part of the big reason we built what we built is we're trying to solve that one problem, that distribution problem, the
Yeah.
cost and latency that gets solved immediately just by being on the edge. But the discoverability aspect of things, that through our technology, they can stream a game any place you would stream like a YouTube video, inside of Telegram, inside of Discord,
Mhm.
onto any URL. That ability to pass a game around between players. I don't know. It wasn't you. It was a guy from Sonium I was talking to
Mhm.
earlier in the week. The
Yeah.
whole, I don't know if I've ever done this with Glory. So if I find a game that I really like in the current model, right, the current distribution model, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, Glory's going to love this game. I got to get him to play with me. What I would have to do is I'll send you the link to Steam. You'll have to
Yeah.
agree that you think that you've got enough room on your computer. Well, first, your computer can play it. You have enough hard
Mhm.
drive space. You
Mhm.
download and install the game, update your drivers, and 4 or 5 hours later, you and I are playing together.
Exactly.
Massive friction cycle, right?
Massive. Yeah.
with with Yum, what I do is I send you the link inside of a Discord that we're sharing, and you and I are playing immediately. Like, for
Literally.
discoverability, for variability, that's huge for a gaming developer.
Huge. Yeah, huge. Because like we in the like the same thing, you said it all. Hey, you take that risk, they're more flexible to build games, they can build fun games. And then if the big guys want to focus on what works, what has been working for them for 20 years, fine. They have the funds to they can stay for as long as possible. But for indie developers, the funny thing, I actually say that, like, and I actually believe genuinely that, like, part of the people that would sort of like use Yum the most would not be the big guys. Like, in the true sense, it would be people that just like that want to like build games but have lower budget and want to distribute that games easily. So it's like we're solving two problems for even indie developers. And to me it's like jump on the bandwagon, stop wasting time. you know
Yeah.
we're here for you, literally.
There is the other aspect that we talked about on Wednesday that I think, well, so we talked about how Microsoft is going to kind of fall back to what they
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's been effective. They also said that Mojang and King, the Minecraft company and the company that gave Candy Crush, they're going to still
Yeah.
double down on those because they realize that for Minecraft, getting the young players is still a big deal, and Minecraft itself is almost like its own platform. And
Mm-hmm.
with King, they still want to get those casual players. They know that there's still a big audience for casual players. We agree. I think I agree on both of those things. You do want both of
Yeah.
those, but you still have the problem with both with Minecraft. They still have the accessibility problem. It's not
Yeah.
every kid who's got a computer that can play it, and
Exactly.
having it on a website running and really inexpensively is kind of be a solution that they should, like you said, they should reach out
Mm-hmm.
to us so we can help them solve that issue on
Literally.
the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally they should. If you remember the times where Web3 games was sort of like the big deal, where everybody was kind of building games for Web3, thinking that we figured it out, but there was still that challenge, and if I think that even not just like we solve a lot of, if you think about the use case is so large that, like, if we you might just leave right now, we're kind of like, just streamlining it to gaming, but like the use case is large. And even for gaming also, just even the gaming industry, the use case alone is large. Just distribution is a major problem for developers, because at the end of the day, distribution is centralized, if I'm supposed to use that word. And you need to have, like, big budgets to be able to get your games. The other, I was reading an article that was like highlighting, like, indie developers, and I saw beautiful games that are way better than, even, like, I mean, I know Call of Duty fans will scream, but like games that are better than COD, like, I'm being honest. And then but then, you like, it's hard to play those games because you don't have access to those games. And having access to those games requires, an expensive PC, strong hardware, and all of those things affect in the developers. And Xbox and Sony and the right, they've been spending money, cutting that cost for consumers. But right now, they've seen that economics does not work at all. It doesn't work.
right.
And so it's like, you either jump on the bus, or, like, at the end of the day, if you don't have Microsoft money, then it's a bad day for you also at the end of the day.
Now, there are already some very heavy hitters in the space who are pointing out that cloud
Mhm.
gaming is the future. I mean, a lot of people have been saying it for a while, but Hideo Kojima had
Mhm.
a longer post, and we also went over this news. He talked of, and again, this is the mind behind Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding, sorry. And then he's got a new games coming out. He's working on new games, but he talked about, and I've had this kind of in my head for a long time as well, that when this new technology comes out and starts getting mass adoption, and again, at this point, 50% of gamers have a cloud, they're using some cloud services from time to time.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
adoption is kind of already, it's a foregone conclusion.
Mhm.
But what he's doing already, game design side, is changing his design to take advantage of this new technology, which I think is exactly the correct path to go. I mean, these guys have
Yeah.
all kinds of success behind them. So you expect it. You'd expect that the new technology opens up new genres that are going to, again, it won't be that we're going to be stuck in some kind of stagnant quagmire that
Mhm.
I fear that some of the other studios are going to, the big studios are going to go with. There are some brains out there who are saying, no, well, let's use this technology to change gaming and
Mhm.
create some new genres.
Yeah, I mean, when when I was reading the article on Wednesday, I kind of, like, he was talking. He also had a worry about saying, because cloud gaming is, like, kind of right now it's too centralized, because it's like, yeah, Microsoft, yeah, they're saying we're doing something on the cloud, but then it's still centralized. Ownership is not yet solved. The problem of ownership is not solved completely with centralized cloud gaming system. And once again, that's where Yum comes into play. Decentralized cloud gaming, literally solving that problem.
So
I cannot overemphasize on how much of a, I would say, game changer, the kind of solutions we're building, game changing solutions. And at the end of the day, I think that, like, now that we're still in the early phase, when I mean early phase, I mean early phase in terms of infrastructure wise, getting people to start using the infrastructure, because we're not a new company. Um, the vision might not be so clear to people listening to us. Just gonna be like, what are these guys talking about, but at the end of the day, by the time the vision comes into full effect, and then people can see, like, the kind of solutions, the kind of systems we're powering. And that's one of the reasons why I cannot wait for what we're about to launch. Because it's sort of like a perfect, I would say, answer to, like, hey, this is it. Like, what we've been saying all along, is like actually workable. You can use it. Like, it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting for some big gaming company to use it. So, and eventually they would come on board. That's the thing with life. When people see that things work, naturally, I mean, everybody wants to save money. Nobody wants to, kind of world that we live right now. Everybody wants to save money.
Right. The other article that I sent over to you because I wanted to we did not talk about this on Wednesday, but it
Mm-hmm.
does play into still what we're saying here, and that the change to the industry, and that is the idea of crossplay, right? Crossplay across devices. So
Mm-hmm.
this is more and more games are looking at this as a necessary thing because they realize that people are on the go. Everyone's got a mobile phone, but mobile phone has some limitations as to how good the game can look. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea that you can play the game at home on your PC or in your living room, and then take that same game with you on your commute on your phone, like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's catching on more and more. Obviously, when you have a cloud system and the one that has the low latency that we have, this just gets even better, right? So you're going to see more games take advantage of cross-platform play.
Exactly, it solves it. It used to be. I used to hate it when I just did not understand why. Then when I was like, I mean, I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I just did not understand why these guys found it hard to, like, okay, hey, I should be able to continue the same profile on a gaming console, and play it also on the on the PC, or maybe on my mobile phone. But, like, we now I kind of understand why it's hard to do that. And that's why Yum is also, like, solving that single problem, because the focus has always been on hardware. That has been the biggest issue, I think, with gaming. It had always been on, you need the right hardware, you need a gaming console, you need a strong PC, you just need something hardware. And now with Yum, it's like the focus no longer stays on the hardware. And the single fact that the focus is no longer on the hardware solves this, simple, gaming profile problem. Because, hey, I don't need to build for certain hardwares. I can just build one game that can work across multiple platforms, on your TV, on your mobile phone, on your, simple, laptop that you can use. So you don't need, like, hard, I would say, expensive hardware. So
It,
it still speaks into what we're building. When I see
it,
these articles, when you send me these articles, I
Go ahead,
just,
go
like,
ahead.
I'm always excited, because I'm like, yeah, like, people are literally talking about what we're doing. So yeah.
Yeah. The
Mhm.
it's funny because having worked in games as long as I have, I was one of the departments I always found a way to get along with very well is my QA department. I always felt like the
Mhm.
QA department was kind of like pivotal to the game getting out well and solid
Yeah.
and all that. Anyways, what they would have to go through for backwards compatibility, especially mobile games, like they had to run through all the Android phones that go back like 4 generations, plus all the iPhones, all that
Mhm.
kind of all those tests and everything get way simplified when the whole thing is really just launching on a web browser or played through a
Yeah.
web browser, right?
Mhm.
That should make the testing cycle a lot simpler for the QA department. So this is our gift to the QA department is we make their testing job a little bit easier.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes it easier. No longer going through multiple, systems. And
Yeah.
works easy.
But I mean, ultimately, I think the thing that we kept on wanting to say is our network, it has all the speed and all the scalability that you're going to want in a cloud because it's decentralized. But the last piece of the puzzle is the idea that we're allowing people to make passive income with their gaming rig at home. That is better for the
Let's
gaming
not.
industry because as I'm
Yes.
earning money from my rig when I'm asleep at night, then I'm spending that money back into the gaming industry because I'm buying the next game, right? So this is all
Exactly.
helpful.
Let's not forget that, because I think sometimes I even forget that the solution, the what we're solving is not just for the gaming companies and even gamers themselves. It's like people that already own this hardware, like instead of you like saying that, hey, you want to maybe, I don't know, sell it or whatever, you can get it to work for you and couple of dollars every month, and that's also a good thing, because we're powering a strong ecosystem. I would say that when the whole idea why people went crazy about Bitcoin, was because of how, like, the decentralized nature of how Bitcoin works. And I think that that is the same theme. And if we're very aggressive of what we're doing, I think we would sort of kind of like bring that same buzz to the gaming industry. Maybe not on that level, but like it's kind of like just something similar, to what we're doing, to what Bitcoin did in the paper money world.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's probably a good place to jump into the updates for the project because there are some updates project side that we probably want to get out there. What we
Yeah.
talked about on Wednesday, and I went and found some more information, so I didn't give off wrong information. The first batch is going out to drum roll,
Um.
Canada.
Yes.
We're getting
Yes.
so everyone who's in the game industry knows Vancouver, Seattle area is massive for the gaming industry, right? Meta is there. Vancouver's got a lot of great game studios up in that area,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a good concentration of studios and publishers out in that direction. There's obviously a lot of players out there as well, so it
Mm-hmm.
expands our North American reach, which is important for us as well. And
Exactly.
I've run tests from where I am in the middle of the East Coast all the way up into Canada. I played off the of our Toronto node, and I'm down
Mm-hmm.
here in the like lower called the lower East Coast. So
Mm-hmm.
where we're putting them up in Canada now on the west side of Canada should reach all the way down to San Francisco, perhaps all the way to LA.
Mm-hmm.
With good, with low latency. So that was the determination we made. That's where the first batch is going, and they're getting shipped out. So we're going to see the network expand, and then over the next couple of weeks, more batches will go out.
Exactly, and I think like the next, people can already start expecting the next batch, to go. I think, maybe Asia, maybe, but yeah, let's see. But I'm looking forward to going into that region, also, but the good thing is we've already started, shipping, and so people have been asking, when are you shipping? When are you shipping, guys? We've started already,
Yeah, yeah. And
we've
and
started.
we're being strategic about it because it helps us with
Mm-hmm.
our troubleshooting efforts and our marketing efforts to say, okay, we're going to hit that area first. Then we'll spend
Mm-hmm.
some marketing focus over in, like I said, Southeast Asia. And then I know that
Yeah.
we're also India is on the list too, and
Exactly.
that might go right after Canada. Actually, I don't know. That might go right after Canada. But
Mm-hmm.
regardless, we're targeting in those areas. It makes it easier for us to focus all the messaging that we're going to do region by region.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually. So we're distributing region by region. We're starting with these guys. We have already good partnership with, like, people there. So we're distributing there first, and then I think the next batch will be India, and then distribute to other
Yeah.
regions. So
Now, I've gotten some questions from the community that we probably want to talk about because some of these are really, again, this is Wally05 who has got, like, he's got his head in the game, and I super appreciate it. He's asking some
yeah.
real smart questions. Let's go through some of these. Let's see. We've seen strong industry tailwinds for cloud gaming. What's the current biggest bottleneck preventing Yum from onboarding significantly more publishers? Technology, business development, pricing, or something else? I would say, Wally, that we want to scale correctly, right? If we were to bring on the biggest game, if we were to bring in like a massive game with too many players, then we'd have the same problem that GeForce Now is having, where you'd have long queues, you'd have people get dropped, those kinds of things. So I think like we're being patient, we're being methodical. There's not really a technology issue because the technology all works. It may
Exactly.
be, you could call it a distributing issue. I suppose because we haven't got them all the way distributed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think
I
there's
don't.
anything really. Go ahead. What's your
Yeah,
take on
I
that
don't
question,
even.
Joe?
I don't even think I would say distribution, especially internally, especially from looking from internally. But maybe people maybe seeing it from outside might think. But because I think that, like, for the correct thing is what you said, scaling patiently. Because I mean, I'm a very aggressive marketing kind of guy, and I want us to grow like fast, 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 fast. But it's kind of like really cool to like
Wait,
to know that
you
like.
chopped up. Wait. You chopped up, and I don't want people to miss what you said. Do that part again.
Oh, okay. So I said I'm kind of like, a very aggressive, marketing, kind of guy. I want us to grow really, really fast. But I think that one of the things that has stood out, joining the team is that like we need to grow the right way and we need to scale the right way and ensuring that everything. I would not say like we have a team that likes to be perfect, but I would say that we're kind of like close on that scale of perfection, how we want to scale. So we want to scale like methodically, just not just like boom, and then we have the same problem, and then we say hi, and then people start thinking that maybe the technology is shit or something. No, it's like we're being patient about the approach, because I mean, don't forget, it will be easy for us to just distribute it to like everybody, distribute all the nodes and then get
Well,
started. But
we've
exactly.
we've seen other projects make that mistake, right? Where they put a
Hmm.
whole bunch of units out there, and then everyone's got the unit is like not earning anything out of it, so they all
Exactly.
just stop using it, and then their networks die. And we're not going to fall into that trap. So
Exactly.
I think if it feels like we're going slow, then you're correct. We're going methodically to make sure we don't get out over our skis and then have a whole bunch of dissatisfied node operators.
Hmm.
So
Because the node operators are an important. I want people have to understand that the node operators are an important, and I would not even say the most important part of the network. So it's important that we take a very cautious and patient approach, getting like the nodes, live. So yeah, it might seem slow, but yeah, we're building something big. So
so you don't build it all in a day. Uh,
exactly.
The next question: how many publishers are currently paying for compute on the Yum network today, and when do you expect network usage to become the primary driver of token demand rather than incentives? Again, we've modeled three different versions of a conservative version, a midline, and then a not maybe wildly optimistic, but an optimistic version of
Hmm.
what the network, what's going to drive the network. I don't like to talk about token demand because you run afoul of the regulators if I start talking up the token, then they're going to come in and say you were trying to, you were part of a scheme to get people to buy. So
Exactly.
we're not going to take that. I kind of almost want to leave the whole question behind. But what I'll say is that we've got people lined up to jump on the network. The network has not got to the point where we feel comfortable, asking people to start paying for the network usage. And until we
Hmm.
get there, don't think that the publishers and developers are the ones who are funding it. It really is a matter of the network usage and the burning mechanism that happens every time a reward is paid out. But that
Yeah.
is not investment advice. Don't listen to me. Do your own research. All right.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, and on that note, we probably want to before I forget, like there is still we're still talking Web3 community, right? There are still those phishing attempts and all the other scammers
Mm,
out there. If you're
yeah.
part of our community, please be smart, right? Don't accept a message from somebody that's saying they're one of our mods, because obviously the mods have to hear from you first through our ticketing
Yeah.
system in Discord. I'm not going to start a conversation with you. No one on Telegram from Yum is reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, can I get your wallet address so I can drop you some tokens?" Or worse, migrate your token. The Yum tokens migrating. Dump your Yum tokens over
Hmm.
here. Please don't
Hmm.
fall for any of those things. Please be smart. Pay attention to our community. If you got a question, ask a mod.
Guys, stay safe, please.
Okay.
A lot of things going on every day, in the global Web3 community. So please stay safe. It's extremely important. If you don't get any announcement from us, just don't even take it serious. Literally.
And it's part of the as a project like ours is getting more and more traction and getting more and more attention, it
we
brings in
become
more of the
more
scammers.
exactly we become more susceptible to like susceptible to people trying to like affect our community. So yeah,
Right.
guys, please stay safe.
Yeah. All right. Let me get into the next question. With Gamescom around the corner, and I probably should mention Dev Brighton is actually even sooner. Dev Brighton is next week, and we're going to that as
Mm,
well. But with
yeah,
Gamescom
true.
coming around the corner, what would define success for Yum? Signed publisher agreements, pilot launches, something else? I think those things are, yes, all true. Signed publisher agreements, pilot launches. I think we're looking now more and more at different channels the Discord accepting into the Discord program is a huge thing for us. And so
Huge.
if you didn't catch that announcement, I think we dropped a blog post about it. But the ability to work directly with Discord and their engineers to improve the streaming that we're doing inside of Discord, and then making that more and more attractive to publishers. I think that's going to Gamescom and Deb Brighton to talk about our Discord partnership, or I don't think it's called a partnership just yet, but our proof of concept work with them. I think this is probably one of the bigger takeaways from those events.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, if you ask me what I would define as success for us lately, I would say it has been our ability to actually to keep building despite the whole bad events that has been happening in the market. A lot of projects shut down, a lot of projects, just stopped, like, ran out of
Oh,
funds and just stopped building. I think that, like, our community need to understand this, that it is hard, to keep building, in this market. Very hard. For me, our biggest success, or in the grand scheme of things, is our ability to still keep building every day. And then the second thing I would say is that, like, you know, every day we wake up, I know that for me, I know that for everybody on the team, the goal is always, how can we make, whatever we're doing at Yom, better, and for me also, that's also a sign of success, because it's like, because people just think that success is maybe when we have 10,000 node operators, or all those things. To me, are easy to achieve in a way, not easy, but, like, you can achieve them. They are achievable. But the harder things that are achievable is consistency, ability to, like, wake up every day to still keep grinding and grinding and grinding without getting tired. That's success.
yeah, that's a good metric as well. I think you're right.
Hmm.
I think ultimately, for not just the Gamescom and Deb Brighton, but I think for me, I think when people come to a realization that there's a difference between decentralized cloud networks and the centralized model, that to me would
Hmm.
be success. When I
Yeah.
can say that, and someone goes, "Nope, I already understand. Decentralized is better." Like that to me would be success as well.
Yeah. True. True.
All right, number 4. I think Wally's this is a softball pitch by Wally. I appreciate it. What he said, what he asked is, everyone agrees cloud gaming adoption is accelerating. What makes Yam the solution publishers choose over simply expanding their existing cloud infrastructure? And
Mhm.
Wally, you couldn't have asked an easier. That could have been a nicer setup for our answers, right? So a lot of all those other systems, they either extract from the developers and publishers, fees, massive fees, or they gate. They have massive gates, or they have massive costs, even beyond just the fees. So our system is so much less expensive, so
Mhm.
much more far-reaching and scalable, and so much more flexible, because it allows them to choose whatever um, financial system they want to put in place. If they want to let you play the first level for free, and then after that they decide to ask you to pay after that, they can do that.
Yeah.
If they want to put it
Exactly.
on if they want to build their own platform to launch their entire library of titles, they can do that. If they just
Yeah.
want to put it inside of a Telegram group or Discord group, they can do that. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
we're,
what I would
we're
say.
basically, we're more efficient. Simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
I'm sure he knows that already. So,
yeah. I think he does. I think he was setting me up for a really nice answer, so I appreciate it. Last one he had was, at what level of network usage does a token economy become self-sustaining through publisher demand instead of community incentives? Again, it depends on which model you
Mhm.
look at. We have the 3 different ones that we look at. So I don't know that I can give you an exact answer for which, and maybe I could get a better answer for you if I did some research with the models that we have. But I would say that we call network saturation 60% usage. So at any
Mhm.
given time, if 60% of the nodes are actually actively streaming a game, we call that saturated. I don't think
Yeah.
that we expect that that's going to happen in the next 3 months or
Ju-
4 months, but
Mhm.
to say it could happen in the next 8 months or a year is absolutely possible. And
Mhm.
obviously, as we reach that saturation point, is when we open up and target more sales for more nanos and more regions. I expect the way it will probably work is, if we see saturation in, say, Southeast Asia quickly, we'll do a marketing campaign to put more nanos out in Southeast Asia, right?
Exactly.
So we'll do it
Exactly.
regionally bound, and to try to get that the entire network over at 60%, and that's what the if you run the rig check, the estimator is based on 60% usage of the network at any one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. True. You said it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets to the end of the questions, and I think at the end of the updates. If anything I missed out that we should be talking about?
Um, mm, I think I just wanted us to maybe just talk about like, I mean, we already talk about like the community staying safe. I think we said it already. I think the other thing is just maybe the token communication in the community, but I don't think we can talk about tokens at this point. So yeah, but like everything has been covered.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I just want to say is I want to encourage our community to kind of like go. I think we already have a price chat community, so that in case if they notice maybe the moderator saying, hey, like move into like the price chat community for token conversations, they should not be surprised, because we want like the community to actually be less, the major chat to be less token focused and price focused than and let all price conversations go into like the price chat, and let like the community be about like the infrastructure that we're building and the solution we're building. Token price will always go up and go down. Like, let's move that conversation somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We
Mhm.
want people to, we our message of changing the gaming industry and changing game design and game access and empowering people to empowering the game developers and publishers to really try to push the boundaries and not just stagnate the whole gaming industry. That's it's just a huge mission for us. And we
Mhm.
really need the community's help to kind of spread that message that what we're bringing is not just a new way to distribute games, which it is,
Exactly.
but a change to the way that games are a, a creative explosion. I think I put the title
It's,
for this video as like
yeah.
a cloud games explode game design, and that it's absolutely true. I think we're going to have a real renaissance in gaming, and it needs it right now. The gaming industry needs a fresh
Mhm.
break and a change, and we've seen it before. We talked on Wednesday about how Battle Royale came about because there was new back
Mhm.
end server
Mhm.
technology that allowed for that genre to blossom. And it's going to be very much the same with cloud gaming. We're going to invent new genres because of this technology, and having our community spread that word around, that message to other people who are in the gaming community who are worried about, hey, is this industry going to last? It's absolutely going
Yeah.
to last. It is growing, but it's going
Mhm.
to change as well. And we want to get that message out to as many people as possible.
Exactly. Exactly. You said it correctly. You know. So guys, please keep supporting. At the end of the day, I say this every time. Keep supporting. Keep spreading the word. Yeah. Like, and continue. Thank you for also always participating in every like competitions. And I think I wanted to just give a new hint. Something that we're gonna do like for season 3. I'm already hinting it out now. Season 3 is gonna be way better for our questing and platform. We're coming up with something really good. Even season 2, I think we're kind of like finding out. We're looking for a way to also like make it as better and better as possible. So yeah, just keep supporting.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you. That is another town hall in the books. I appreciate everyone paying attention and listening in. As I say, drink lots of water. Be good to yourself. Oh, look, you're drinking water right now. Smart.
Yeah.
drink, drink water. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Tell someone you love them. Go out and touch the earth with your hands and your feet,
Mhm.
and start up with the stars. Enjoy life, but then come back and see us again on Wednesday. We'll do another town hall then.
Take care,
Very
guys.
good. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.